Welcome back to another Fort Aspenwood video. Here we are playing on the Luxon side, and I'm running kind of a gimmicky build as a Elementalist Necromancer. So my elite here is Signet of Suffering, in which my next Necromancer skill will then inflict bleeding, and so Oppressive Gaze will also inflict poison and weakened if my enemy is conditioned. So it will count when I use Signet of Suffering. So I'm pairing this with Immolate, which is a burning skill and has some nice damage. Not just 10 energy, so not that big of a deal for a Necromancer. And it's quick recharge, easily spammable, and there we go, I die right away. So not a good show off of the build right away, but again, this is an experimental build. Here we're just trying to have some fun. So with Immolate, I also have Glowing Gaze, in which will give me energy if my foe is on fire and provide some damage. That assassin got killed and then Z-ranked there. But so that's a good skill, some good damage. And then to clear these gates, I brought Firestorm. So Firestorm, kind of a laughable skill at face value, right? Because everyone thinks of Hamstring and Firestorm. But honestly, it's pretty good at clearing these gates in Fort Aspenwood. And then I did bring Rip Enchantment, so that actually definitely comes in handy. That's a great skill to have, no matter what your profession is, if you can bring a Rip Enchantment for Fort Aspenwood, because a lot of monks will cast, lots of enchantments on these gatekeepers, so bringing that's key. I have Flame Digen's Haste, which allows me to go a little bit quicker, run away from, melee that might be attacking me. But it also provides some good damage to nearby foes when I cast it. And then, of course, Fire Attunement. So this will help me manage my energy overall as I spam these spells. But make sure you guys join these Fort Aspenwood games. They're every Saturday and Sunday, and they happen around 3 p.m. Central, I believe. And they go for 3-4 hours or so. And really, this is my favorite form of PvP that's left in Guild Wars 1, because there's really not any PvP left for most players. Right? There's some GVG going on. For Random Arenas is filled with bots, right? Jade Quarry is filled with bots. There's nothing, right? So Fort Aspenwood is good. It's good for that every weekend. You can see what this warrior's trying to do. He's trying to kill this orange commander and Luxon priest. Now he's doing that because then my siege turtle will not respond if he dies. So you definitely want to try to prevent that if you can. Oftentimes when I play on the Kurzik side, I will try to kill those commanders, because stopping their siege turtle from responding is a good strategy. It's very helpful. So a build that's definitely not optimized, but it's fun for spamming these conditions. It does do some nice damage and some great degeneration with burning and poison. That's great. And then honestly, casting it on like these assassins like I just did, or the any melee characters, you're giving them weakness and then making their attacks really reduced by a lot. Even though we're a man down here, right, this same Lucky never joined the game, or left. One of their teammates now did as well. But so now it's a little bit more even. But we're doing pretty well. We've smashed right through their orange gate. And now we're, doing pretty well. Our siege turtle is still alive on both sides. really, when you're fighting in Fort Aspenwood, once you get inside the base and past these first two gates, you really have to judge how fast should I storm the green gate versus killing the enemies around me. And the answer is not always clear. Sometimes a sneak attack on their gates, on the green gate, is warranted, and sometimes you should just be fighting the actual enemies out front. You really have to make that call wisely. Of course, my targets are not usually going to be rangers. Elementalists do not perform well against rangers because of rangers' armor. But I can spam some degeneration, which should be helpful. And also the weakness with oppressive gaze to weaken their attacks. So you can see here my attacks are doing very little damage to the ranger because of his armor. Nice power spike by that Mesmer, and another nice interrupt. You see, to stay alive with this build, I really need to rely on a healer on my team. I don't really have any self-heals. I could have brought Aura of Restoration, perhaps, and used that for some self-heals. Or there's a Glimpse of Restoration, I believe, too, that will heal me as well. But not really concerned about it. My main role here is just damage. Spamming damage, throwing around some conditions. That's the main role of this build. While this build is fun, I mean, all of these skills could be done probably better on other builds. So not something I'm going to necessarily use again or really put into my build rotation, so to speak, but fun to try, right? I think so. And there we go, a nice firestorm on the green gates. Of course, you got to be careful casting after you cast that initial spell, because those Kurzik Mesmers will use Psychic Instability, and they are very, very efficient with it, very good. But the Juggernaut's dropping there. Time to cast Signal of Suffering again, so my next Necromancer skill will cause Poison and Weakness onto the Gatekeeper Radic there. Some Immolate, and then hopefully this Dervish will be able to drop him while I target the purple Gatekeeper. And there we go, both Gatekeepers down, and we'll attack Gunther. Alright, well, Gunther's dropping, and thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more content. Cheers.